Hey OC, why are you making a FoamStars video 4 months after release? I've been busy, leave me alone. Let me just say that FoamStars is a mixed bag. I don't like trashing on games until I play them, and while I still agree with most of the things I said in my last FoamStars video, which came out before release, and now that the game has released, there's a lot to cover here. And while this game is inspired by Splatoon, I do want to talk about this from both with Splatoon perspective and without a Splatoon perspective, because even if a game is inspired by another, you should still try to judge it on its own. You know, to see if a game is actually good. And is FoamStars actually good? Let's find out. The only thing I know was that the second this game was shown last year at the State of Play, the Splatoon community was just beating this game. There wasn't a single video, image, or tweet. Yes. So we have the new character Wavebreaker. Alright, he seems cool. Oh, Jesus Christ. My God. There's so many. Still going. Still going. Still going. I don't think there's an end to this. Even people who don't even like Splatoon or don't know much about it were saying the exact same thing. And I get it. To this day, Splatoon is still one of the most unique shooters out there. And I understand being offended when someone takes something you like and makes an ass out of it. I get the defensiveness of it all, but it's okay for things to have inspiration out of one another. Like I said in my last FoamStars video, a lot of games that came out last year were heavily inspired by other games and took it to their advantage and made something new out of it. But there's something that needs to be addressed here, and that is, y'all hate FoamStars because it's a Splatoon clone. I hate it because it's a Square Enix game. We are not the same. But all superiority complex aside, I was genuinely interested in what this game could have been, until I saw that it was a Square game. And everything I said in my last video, which came out before release by the way, was true. Horrible live service, the fact that it's a hero shooter, 4v4 when it could have been a bigger player size, and microtransactions that are fucking abysmal. Why is this $40 fucking? Why would I spend $40 to buy this when I can buy Yakuza 0 through 6 for the same price? That's not a joke. The game goes on sale for that much constantly, by the way. I mean, Square, what are we doing here? It's like you know this game's gonna die in like less than a year, so you're trying to milk it up as much as you can. And I know someone's gonna say it. I have no issues with microtransactions existing, but in my opinion, no microtransaction should ever cost more than the game itself. But horrible financial practices aside, let's talk actual gameplay. Like I said earlier, FoamStars is a 4v4 hero shoot. Bro, you could at least let me finish the sentence. At launch, there were only 8 characters to choose from, but as of recording, there are now 11. Each with their own weapons, abilities, and ultimates. You know how this works already. You use your weapon that shoots ink, foam, to chill your opponent, and you use the foam as your main source of movement to surf around. Again, you play Splatoon, you know how this works. But I will give the game this. The foam, not only can it be used as a source of movement, but it can also be used as a form of cover. And I don't mean as in a way to hide, like in Splatoon, I mean like to make walls and stuff, make choke points. Or maybe I'm giving this game far too much credit, I don't know. Either way, it is an interesting concept of letting our foam deliver us verticality. You know, the one thing that Splatoon has been struggling with since after the first game. But this changes the combat flow from Splatoon to where instead of hiding when you need to, you instead need to create a higher ground, which makes the game feel faster paced in my opinion. Good job, Square. This is the one form of game design you did right. And now let's talk game modes. So far there are only 3 game modes in this game. Happy Bath Survival, which is literally just gunfight from the COD games. Weird, but really intense. The Rubber Duck Party game mode, which is just tower control because this is a team shooter and every team shooter needs a push game mode for some reason. And Smash the Star, which is probably the most interesting game mode to me, so that's gonna be the one I talk about. Smash the Star is a game mode where both teams have 7 shared lives. Once the lives are gone, the star player is picked, and whoever star player dies first loses the game. It's a more complicated VIP form of game mode, but it's a really fun one. This game mode is really cool, and I'm genuinely upset that other shooters don't have this concept. Wait a minute. This game mode sounds very familiar. This is just light versus dark from Kid Icarus Uprising. This is just light versus dark from Kid Icarus Uprising. I have been wanting this game mode to come back in another shooter, and it's in fucking FoamStars. I've been asking for this game mode in Splatoon since early Splatoon 2, and it's in FoamStars. I had a whole guide on how this could have worked in Splatoon and everything. I called it Idle War and everything. I gave it a name. Smash Asar is probably the best game mode in this game, and it's the only casual game mode in this game. Yeah, this game doesn't have a turf war. And I don't know how to feel about that, because on one hand, I don't like turf war, but on the other hand, I'm really interested in how a FoamStars turf war would have went. It probably would have sucked worse than Splatoon because of how bad this game's balancing really is. Please nerf Solo for the love of God. I know a lot of people are going to sit here and say that Foamulab is just copied Salmon Run from Splatoon and called it a day, but I have to disagree on this one. Whenever you make a shooter, it's kind of expected to have a 4-player co-op mode at this point. Kind of like, I don't know, Splatoon Salmon Run, Halo Firefight, COD Zombies, Garden and Graveyard Ops from the Garden Warfare games, TF2 Man vs. Machine, whatever Overwatch is trying to do at this point, and several others. So from a non-Splatoon perspective, it's just kind of there as like a horde mode because every shooter needs to have one. But from a Splatoon perspective, it's very different from Salmon, because instead of working together to kill enemies to collect from them, you're actually killing enemies to defend a generator from being destroyed. It's simple, but it's fun. Despite how basic it is, the one good thing I will say about this mode is the fact that unlike Salmon Run, there's actual in-game progression. Unlike in Salmon, where like whenever the rounds just pass by, you just don't get anything out of it. You can't really upgrade yourself or do anything to help you. Here, after every round, you are given a bunch of upgrades that you can pick and choose. Most of them are really basic and some of them are only character specific, but it's better than nothing, and I like it. And it gives an incentive to try out other things, whereas Splatoon is just, here's what you're doing, there's nothing you can change about it, have fun. Don't like it, go play another time. But FoamStars' horde mode feels a lot more fair and balanced because as the enemies do get stronger and more aggressive, you become more powerful. Whereas Splatoon is just, alright, here's a high tide Firefly round. Up, all 4 of you are dead. You suck. Think of the game's progression like Side Order, but multiplayer. It's nice. FoamStars' single player is just a co-op mode but with dialogue. You pick one of the 6 characters, you do the objective, dialogue happens based on the character you are currently playing, which most of it is just a tutorial on how the character works, while also explaining their lore, and then it shows art of them, and then that's it, the end. And while this game does have lore, I'm not gonna really talk about it because of how minor it really is. For the Splatoon people watching it, if you're expecting it to be like Splatoon where everything is thought out and explained, it's not. Nowhere even close, and I'm okay with that. Because the things they do explain make no sense. Like how one of the main antagonists, Ramsey, a goat made out of foam wanting to destroy the city, is now one of the playable characters in the game. For some reason. If there's one thing that both Rainbow Six Siege and FoamStars have in common, it's the fact that they make the main antagonist join the character roster, despite the fact that it completely contradicts their motives. But getting off topic, the single player is really only something that you would play just out of boredom. But since and I'm pretty sure a lot of people watching this video have a massive game log they should be tending to, I don't really have that option to do that. Okay, I'm gonna sound extremely unfair in this section, but I promise I'm not. Because in reality, this is a very easy fix. I love this game's aesthetic, or at least what it's trying to do. Keyword, trying. Because unlike Splatoon where the matches are basically a competitive sport and a culture, the matches at FoamStars are meant to seem like a party where people can just unwind after their normal lives and just chill and foam each other up. I don't like the sound of that, but then again, I don't think saying the phrase inking each other up is any better either. And I think in a sort of way, the characters themselves even reflect that. Like the fact that Jet Justice is a pizza worker in the day and a Destiny Titan at night for some reason. Destiny sucks, it's a terrible game. Kinda shows what I'm trying to explain. And then when you take into account of all the maps being set in the night and how there's party lights and party stuff everywhere, this game can look beautiful, but it's weird because the finals does FoamStars' aesthetic better than FoamStars themselves. But yeah, aesthetically the game can look nice, but once you put this from a gameplay perspective, they really messed up. Because when you make a team shooter, one of the most important things you have to figure out immediately is trying to distinguish us versus them. TF2, Splatoon, and the older Halo games are a great example of this.
You see those fuckers over there? You see them? Yeah.
Right here.
They have done absolutely nothing wrong, but they're blue. I've always hated the color blue.
Despite how simple they both were, TF2 in Halo does this masterfully, with the armor in Halo just matching the team color and the TF2 mercenaries having their shirts match the same color. It's simple, but it works. And with Splatoon, you have your character's hair matching the color of your team, but there's a little bit more to that, and I'll get to that in a second. But with FoamStars, we have this Overwatch character cooker cutter outline bullshit, which barely works, might I add. And due to how neon bright the foam is, it just makes my eyes hurt. Why? But FoamStars has a brightness setting, and Splatoon doesn't. Yeah, that's true, but still, even if you put it on lowest settings, it still makes the game still neon. And it doesn't even have an actual colorblind mode. It's just color locked from Splatoon, but somehow even worse. Honestly, that's actually impressive. And I know I said earlier that I like this game's aesthetic. I like the concept of this game's aesthetic, not the execution. All the maps somehow look boring. Like, if you can see through all the colors, it's just boring. There's nothing unique about them and iconic. I mean, maybe a couple of them, sure, but most of them just feel like an episode of The Problem Solvers. And don't get me wrong, I do wish that the shooter genre had a lot more colorful games out there. It's one of the reasons why I like Splatoon, but just because you add color to the game doesn't mean that the game is good. Come on, Squeenix, there are several color theory videos on YouTube, just look them up. Also, this has nothing to do with the game's art design, but I didn't know where to put this in, so I'm just gonna say this right now. Play the game in Japanese. The English voice acting is not the greatest. Or maybe it's because of the fact that I'm so used to Splatoon characters saying cringy stuff, but because it's in a language I literally cannot comprehend, I just tune it out. Because I'm pretty sure half the voice lines that the characters say is stuff that you'll probably hear from Splatoon if they actually spoke real English. Also, the album covers have AI. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Now you guys know that I love video game soundtracks, because there are a lot of things. And there's been some games that have made me play a game or not play it due to how good or bad it was. But when it comes to FoamStars, I'm mixed on it. By itself, it's good. Great even. Amazing, if you will. It gives the vibe that regardless of whether you're in the battlefield or if you're just chilling in the back, you can still have a good time regardless either way. Just sit down, kick back, relax, don't worry about the stress of life right now. Have fun, it's a party. But now, if you suspect that the music is going to be like Splatoon's, where there's a lot of hidden messages, leitmotifs, and even the fact that the people who wrote the song in universe exist, then you are in the wrong place. It's so weird how only a handful of games actually do that with their music. Huh. You know what this game's soundtrack kind of reminds me of? And I'm saying this as someone who's never actually played the game. It reminds me of Persona 5. Not the worst, but yeah.
That one was talking shit.
Alright, I'm rushing in. Alright, one of my penguins hit them. I got a high ground.
Oh yeah, they're both low. They're both super low.
I got one.
Yeah, they got hurt. Nice, I got one too. Nice!
Yo.
Nice! Robert, seriously?
Alright, I got one.
That's
Go.
one!
I have to reload. Alright, alright. Oh, come on, come on. Yes!
Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him, get him, get him!
Come on, stop right away from me. Oh my god. Oh wow. Oh wow.
OC, look. Okay. OC,
Yeah?
we carry.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, Robert, you did your best.
You did your best, and that's what matters.
There we go. There we go.
Damn! That's great. You are now, hold up. OC, now more than ever, you my brother. I appreciate. I'm gonna respect that MVP spot because we fucking killed it out there, bro.
AI art jump scare. Okay, so you know how I've been saying that I've been wanting this game to last more than 6 months? That phrase was a huge overstatement. Look, I know I said that this game was struggling, but I didn't think it was this bad. Actually, no, I did. I knew it was gonna be horrible. And while many people will say, oh yeah, game is dead, game is dead, game is dead, no fucking shit. But people don't actually see why this game died as fast as it did. It wasn't just because of the fact that the game is bad. There were quite a few things that happened to this game that was out of its own control. But to make this a lot more simple, I've only gathered 6 good reasons as to why this game died as fast as it did. And to start this off, number 1, this is a Square Enix game. I'm not elaborating any further. And number 2 is the fact that Square Enix refuses to acknowledge FoamStars' identity. But the reason why this is still important is because at the end of the day, us gamers are pretty fucking stupid. The easiest way you can sell your product, not only in video game culture, but in media culture in general, is by comparing it to something else. If you literally type up Devil May Quake, it takes you to the Ultra Kill store page. For example, these two are pretty similar, so I'm putting them together. But first, I need to ask a question. Do you remember the exact day this game came out? February 6th of this year. You want to know what was dropping 3 weeks later? Yep, side order. Say what you want about the FoamStars vs Splatoon discourse that was going on, where anytime the game tweeted about literally anything, the Splatoon community would just attack it with a bunch of quote retweets of whatever it could be compared by. But once side order dropped, the Splatoon community pretty much just lost all interest in this game. And it shows between the tweets before release and after release. Sweet Liberty! Wait a minute. That sounds familiar. Why did I say that? Oh yeah! Yeah, HellDivers came out literally 2 days after, and remember, this game was everywhere, until Sony thought it'd be a great idea to shoot themselves in the foot. I bring this out because despite how little hype that the game even had, in the span of 2 days, two of its biggest hype resources being the Splatoon community and whoever had a PlayStation, it all faded away. And that is way more important than I think a lot of people realize. Especially when you realize that this game is a PlayStation exclusive. Which leads me to my next point. Exclusivity. This game is only exclusive to PS5. And let's be honest, most people that were excited for this game were Nintendo/Splatoon players. But because they locked it to one system, most people who were hyped for it just couldn't even play it. And I know this most likely had something to do with Square having a deal with Sony. I'm not too entirely sure if that's the case, but it did hurt the game a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if like by August this game gets like a PC and Switch release. It would be so funny if instead of them doing either of those, they made an Xbox release, so now like 15 extra people could play the game. Oh yeah, and last but not least, the sixth main reason on why this game died as fast as it did. It's a hero shooter. We're tired of hero shooters. We don't want them. Nobody wants them. Okay, this has nothing to do with the video, but if Killing Floor 3 has heroes like it's rumored to, I'm going to riot. Those are all the main reasons I've noticed and why this game died as fast as it did. There are more things I can go on and on about, like how horribly priced the microtransactions are, and just how corporate the game looks. Does anybody understand what I mean by that? Like, I'm not the only one seeing it, right? I know that's a weird thing to say, especially since I'm comparing it to Splatoon. You know, the funny you're a kid, you're a Squid Game. And let me tell you, I am extremely critical about Splatoon, and a lot of the things I've been saying these past few months have been in a very negative light. But despite all the negative things I've said, this game has passion, thought, detail, variety, and most importantly, a sense of direction. But with FoamStars, it's just slap LEDs and everything. Make it a TikTok kids room. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This game is Splatoon, but dedicated to Valorant players. I could easily go into a world in VR chat and find 5 people who look like Soa. Fun fact, did you know that Soa's name in Dutch translates to STD? I just think that's really funny. I do not hate this game. I keep saying this, but it's true. I genuinely wanted this game to succeed. But it does deserve the hate that it gets. Splatoon, despite how disrespected the game is, it is still one of the most unique shooters out there. Think about it. Name another shooter where your main source of ammo and your main source of movement are one of the same. You can't have one without the other. And that alone is a great concept. FoamStars had a good concept of how a turf shooter can work outside of Splatoon. I keep calling it turf shooter, but like, is there anything else I could call it? Like Splat-like? I don't know. But the game just ended up being horribly executed and very disappointing. Even the things that Splatoon messes up in, but FoamStars gets right, like accessibility, I can't even give that credit because it's the bare minimum that Nintendo can't get right. It's upsetting. And if you're wondering if I would recommend this game, I'd only do it if you are a casual, and I cannot stress this enough, a casual Splatoon player who just happens to have a PlayStation. And if that's you, I say give it a shot. But if not, then I cannot recommend this game at all. And that leads me to my final message to Square Enix. Square, in all honesty, stop chasing your dreams. Just stick to single player games and RPGs. Anyways, my name is O.C. Have a good one, and wash your hands.